ambulance with all the service docks, for the bulk oxygen that's being dropped off, and the helipad locations. Everything still has to functionally work while we're constructing this new hospital. So what we did when we first got the project is we looked at different locations on the site itself as to where we could build the new facility. And I'm going to run through these quickly, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask any questions at any time. The first site location we looked at was down on the bottom of the site where there's currently a large portion of staff parking. We ruled this one out pretty quickly because this is the majority of parking for the entranceways into the actual campus. And if we were to take this much of the parking away from the facility, it would have been major devastation to Georgia's bottom line. So we rule this out. The other factor on this is our main utilities to this site actually run basically underneath the portion of the site right here. So any construction on top of that would have meant that we would have to pay to move all the existing facilities on site, which would have been in the millions of dollars. So this one got ruled out pretty quickly. There's also residential building right here, and building that close up against that residential area would have been problematic as to one of the options. The other option was along Lake Chabot Road. There's actually setback requirements that we have to keep for landscaping and other things that are off Lake Chabot. And this, if anybody knows the site actually drops grade-wise pretty heavily right through this building here. And we would have taken out one of the few medical office buildings on site that's still worthy of keeping. So this portion of the site was ruled out. The nice thing about this site was it was close to the existing garage. But again, all of our routes to the hospital while we were been under construction would have had to go around the facility to get to the ambulance drop-off area of the current campus. The other site was up on the site that actually drops down on the other side of the garage off of Lake Chabot. The problem with this site was that circulation around the building, the site was actually really tight because this hill drops off right through here. And the amount of vehicles that would have actually accessed this site would have been way too much when we did the circulation studies on the site itself. Not only would the public have to come in and drop off, but the ambulances, the service trucks, and everything else. And then getting the access from the helipad down to the actual hospital on this side. I'm hoping everybody can see it from anyway. Just tell me. Getting the access from the helipad to the actual hospital would have been a problem. Next site. Next site was one that we looked at a while back. The problem with this site is that the site actually breaks pretty heavily right through here, and there's about a 50-foot drop from this portion of the site to this portion of the site. And then with all the requirements for the fire trucks and everything to be able to access around the facility, cutting the building in half basically was what we'd have to do, drop it down. And then with all the structural implications with the seismic code requirements that we have for hospitals, this site quickly became unaffordable to build on. And then we came to the last site, which was the existing site here, which we know we're next to neighbors both on this side and on the SNF unit that's on the south side of the building. But we would take down the Pine Cove apartments, and then we were also affecting the helipad location. But the nice thing about this site is we actually kept the hospital as much as possible up and running, while we did take out some of the parking that was associated with that site, and we would have to relocate that parking we knew while we were under construction. So that was the last site that we picked. And then these were the different phases that I'm going to go through for the actual construction on the site itself. So phase one basically is demolishing the areas in purple, the Pine Cone apartments, and the 4 small medical office buildings that are adjacent to the garage, and relocating the existing helipad approximately 150 feet north to the top of the hill that's currently in this location right here. The basic fenced area for the actual construction is the area in green. In phase 2, once all that was cleared off the site, was actually constructing the new hospital and the medical office building now at the same time, because when we started looking at the actual phasing to build the medical office building at a later date, first of all, the entire site would have been under construction for that much longer, which would have had that much more noise to their neighbors. And we wouldn't have wanted another construction project right by the front door of our new hospital. So this was a large change that we actually recently brought about.
Question. Why can you relocate the helipad at the top of the garage?
Because it's actually a lot more expensive. Because what happens is when you move the helipad, you have to move all the firefighting and all the collection of all the gas that is there to feed the helicopter. Phase 4 would be to add the parking where we've demoed the existing facility and to demolish Laurel Grove. And phase 5 would be to add parking where Laurel Grove is. This parking where Laurel Grove is mostly for staff parking. And with the new site configuration, currently the garage is only accessed off of Lake Chabot Road. So when you come into the site off of Lake Chabot and you drop off at the existing hospital, if the hospital parking site is full, you actually need to leave this site, go back onto Lake Chabot, come in to where Laurel Grove is, and then park on the garage. And what we're actually going to do is actually, once you drop off, if you find that this parking area is full, you can actually drive directly into the garage from this portion of the site, so you don't need to go back onto Lake Chabot.
Question, where is the contractor's construction there?
Requirements for the helipad itself. And at the same time, we're also getting new technology from some of the services that are flying in that actually reduce the noise of the existing helicopters that are on site.